Your house is on fire. You do everything right, yet the fire gets worse. Why? Wrong fire class, and that's exactly the kind of decision DMN is made for. Let's take a look. Hi, my name is Andreas Hense and I make videos about business process automation. So why am I talking about fire? Because putting out a fire is a problem everyone understands and is actually a sequence of rapid decisions and actions. That's where DMN, decision model and notation, comes in. With DMN we can model and automate those decisions in an elegant way. Imagine an app that guides you in an emergency, or even a firefighter robot that chooses the right action based on fire classes and fire extinguishers. DMN, decision model and notation, is something like a companion standard of BPMN for decision logic. The idea of DMN is to provide a simple framework that allows business units to edit and update their own business rules without support by IT. So if you think that DMN is extremely simple, then this is a feature, not a bug. In this video, we'll look at how DMN and BPMN can complement each other in a fire scenario. Just in case that you forgot, there are 5 fire classes depending on the type of fire. Class A is for flammable solids like wood or plastic. Class B is for flammable liquids like petrol or paint, but not cooking fats and oils. Class C is for flammable gases. Class D is for combustible metals like lithium or magnesium. Class F is for cooking fats and oils. So we put concrete materials into a DMN table and I'll show you the results in the KIE sandbox. Okay, we have the KIE sandbox open here, and the file that's open here is the DMN file for the fire classes. And here in this overview it shows us the input parameter, which is the material, and then the fire class table that's here. And if we edit this table, we can see that it has 2 important columns here. One is the input column, which is the material. So this is wood, textiles, and so on and so forth. And the second one is the fire class table. This is the output table. So the output is always the fire class A, B, C, and so on and so forth. And we have all the different materials here in this list. What's important is the so-called HIT policy. In this case, it's U, and U stands for unique. So in order for this table to work, the hit on the left-hand side must be unique. So there shouldn't be a value that hits on more than one row in this table. There are also other hit policy, and we'll see a second one in a moment. Okay, so this is this DMN table, and on the left-hand side I have a server running locally, and these are the so-called extended services that come with the KIE sandbox, and there is an instruction there how to install this with Docker. It's very easy. And what we have to do now here, we just have to choose our fire class DMN file here, and I'll put these DMN files in the description below and in the supplementary material. And so we choose this file now, and it gives us the input parameter now here, material, and we can just input, let's say A, or no, sorry, we can just input, for example, wood, and if we submit that, it will give us back the value A, fire class A for wood. And if we scroll down in the list, and let's say we take potassium, for example, submit that, we get fire class D. So very simple principle. Now the next table here is the one that has as input the fire class and the output are different fire extinguishers. And if we look at this table, again, this has only two columns. Fire class is the input and the output is a fire extinguisher. So here we have a different hit policy. Hit policy now is collect and with aggregator function none. So collect aggregator function none. And here we have to look at the list. So for example, if we have fire class A or B or C, so you can separate them with commas, then we can use a fire extinguisher, a powder extinguisher with ABC powder. So now you know where the word ABC powder comes from. If it's fire class A, we can use a water extinguisher and so on and so forth, B, C, D, etc., etc. So let's try that out. Here on the left-hand side, we have to first load the fire extinguisher DMN file. And we can just, let's say, submit fire class A. And then the result will be powder extinguisher with ABC powder, water extinguisher, or foam extinguisher. And if we say, for example, F, we submit F, we have the grease fire extinguisher only. And if you ever tried to extinguish a grease fire with water, you know why you should probably use a grease fire extinguisher. So how does this work in BPMN now? If we look at the BPMN diagram here, a very simple process starts with fire detected. We first have a user task, identify combustible material, and the output of this is the combustible material. So I modeled this here to make it clear. And then the next task is a business rule task with this tabular symbol. So this stands for these DMN tables. And this determines the fire class based on the DMN table that we have used. So we can imagine that the workflow management system, if it's automated, will call this server and give it the combustible material and then get back the value, the fire class. And then the fire class goes on to the next task, which is again a business rule task, and it will determine the fire extinguishers we can use, and then we can finally extinguish the fire. Thank you for watching.